Hey everyone, John Cross of Crossing the Globe here. Today we're going to be talking about two amazing devices, the Garmin Inreach Mini and the Nautilus Lifeline. Now if you're watching this, it's probably because you're a recreational scuba diver who has heard of both of these devices and is wondering which one they should buy or which one is right for them. So in this video we'll be discussing kind of an overview of both devices, the pros and cons, and also my thoughts on which one is best for scuba divers or hikers and vice versa. Now, my background is I was a commercial diver for 15 years doing underwater construction, and later I became a firefighter paramedic for the last 7 years, working full-time for a city. And since I became a firefighter, I kind of been scuba diving more for fun, recreationally, and been hiking around the world for fun, been to all 7 continents. And so we're going to start with this and break it down, all right? Okay, so here we have the Nautilus Lifeline. It's a marine rescue GPS that works off of VHF and marine radio frequencies. So what this does is it will transmit your GPS location and a man overboard signal to any vessel up to 34 miles within line of sight. And how it does that is through radio frequency. So it operates off of what's called an AIS and DSC system. You can go look that up to get a little more familiar with it. But pretty much every commercial or high quality vessel out there in a marine environment should have a radio that's registered to the ship that can receive the emergency message that this will send to it. So the Nautilus Lifeline, it's, as you can see, it's built pretty tough. It's a heavy duty plastic. It is waterproof down to 425 feet with the cap closed. With the cap open, it's splash proof. Now that's how you open it. You open up this little thing here and you press the button, and that's how you activate it. Now the Nautilus Lifeline runs off of 2 CR123 batteries. It says you place them in there, and if you don't use it, it's good for 5 years. You don't have to worry about it. The Nautilus Lifeline also doesn't require any kind of subscription or paid fee or registration or anything like that. Now, a unique feature with this is you can actually download an app that allows you to program a vessel's MMSSI number into it. So if you activate the emergency button on this, it will transmit a signal to the ship that's registered first without sending something to everybody else on the ocean. So that if your vessel's right there, it can come pick you up and say, hey, I need help, I'm out here, you don't see me. They can come get you. So that's nice. That's what the Nautilus Lifeline is. Now here we have the Garmin Inreach Mini. Now this device is a newer device. It costs about $300 US, and the difference between this is actually a satellite communicator, similar to kind of like an EPIRB. But how this works is you can actually send two-way text messages through satellite to whoever you want to, and it also has an interactive SOS system that goes to a 24/7 monitoring center. So if you activate this little SOS button on the side, it can send them your GPS locations and tell them that you're having an emergency. This Garmin Inreach also can hook to your cell phone or any other tablet or device that's compatible, and allows you to type messages on the tablet or cell phone, and then it will transmit them through the Garmin Inreach Mini, because the screen is kind of small, and typing it, you have to type each letter individually of the word and scroll through the whole alphabet. So it's a little tough to do it on here, but on the app it's actually really neat. You can also link social media accounts or send an email to your friends and family so they can actually track you in live time as you're hiking or out and on your travels around the world, which is really nice. This is waterproof, IXP7 rated, but if you're going to use it for diving, there's actually a dive housing you can get that's rated down to over 300 feet. And it makes it waterproof, so you probably need to get that. It costs about 50 bucks. The thing with the Garmin Inreach, you will need a subscription for anything on it to work. So there are different tiers of subscriptions. You can go look up on their website. There's 3 different levels right now that you can buy. And even to use the SOS feature, it has to have an active subscription. The Garmin Inreach is rechargeable. It has a rechargeable battery. It just plugs into the side here. The battery lasts about 90 hours. It's pretty long. I've never had it really run out on anything I've used it on. And so that's the Garmin Inreach Mini. Pros and cons for the Nautilus Lifeline. Now, the Nautilus is built incredibly tough. It's 100% waterproof on its own down to over 400 feet. You don't need to buy any special housing or anything like that to take with you. The Nautilus Lifeline also floats, so if you drop it accidentally while trying to fidget with it, you're not going to lose it. It will stay there with you. Another big benefit, and probably the biggest benefit, is that it doesn't require any kind of subscription. You buy it and it's good to go. You put the batteries in, you don't have to recharge them. You don't have to, it's kind of, you put it in your pack and forget about it for 5 years, unless you use it. There's no recharging, no subscriptions, no fees. It's all just included in this. The cons for the Nautilus Lifeline is that it's only good to line of sight up to 34 miles. Now, if you're in really rough sea state or in storms and you're at water level, that line of sight gets reduced dramatically. So it could be only maybe 5 miles that it reaches. But like I said, most dive sites have ships nearby within range of that, or if you get carried out in the current, usually into shipping lanes, and all of ships out there have this VHF system available. So that is one thing with this. Okay, pros for the Garmin Inreach Mini. Now the Garmin Inreach Mini is pretty small, it's heavy built, it's super lightweight, easy to carry around, easy to fit in just about anything. The Garmin Inreach Mini, the biggest feature is that it can transmit anywhere in the world through satellite. It doesn't have to have line of sight, it's not VHF system, it's all through satellite, it's a two-way communicator. The Garmin Inreach also has the ability to link to the EarthMate app, and allows you to use a cell phone or a compatible device so you can type out messages on it and transmit it to anybody through this the Inreach. And that's a super neat feature because trying to type messages on this is a little tough. Now, the Garmin Inreach Mini also has the ability to let your family and friends track wherever you go. So it gives them a little map and you can show them right where you've been and they can watch you in real time. Cons I've seen with this is the fact that if you're using it for scuba diving, it doesn't float. If you're in a stressful environment and you're trying to mess with this and fumble with it after getting out of its waterproof housing and you drop it, it's gone and that's it. Another downside to it is the fact you have to have a subscription. None of the features on this will work. No SOS or anything will work if you don't have an active subscription, and that can be a little pricey and a continuous fee that goes along with it. Another downside I found is on this little screen you can activate the SOS message, but that's all it tells the dispatch centers, that an SOS message has been received from these coordinates. It doesn't tell them anything about what your situation is, and a lot of times they'll send messages trying to ask you, hey, what's your situation, what's going on? And if you just have this and you're trying to type on this tiny little screen and wearing neoprene gloves and in waves or a storm and you're super stressed out, you have to scroll through each individual letter of the alphabet to be able to type a message. And trying to do that in that situation is pretty much impossible. So you have to activate this and just hope they know something's going on. So that's kind of the downside with it. But yeah. Now I've actually had experience personally using these. Not necessarily the Nautilus Lifeline, but the Garmin Inreach Mini. I've used it all over the world. I've been to all 7 continents. I've used it in Antarctica while mountaineering. I climbed Kilimanjaro, was able to send a message and a link to my friends and family to let them see where I was on the mountain. The emergency feature, I've never activated the actual SOS feature, but it did save our bacon one time when on safari in Africa and Tanzania. Our safari truck got broken down in the middle of the Serengeti at 10 o'clock at night, and there's nobody else around. And if you know anything about Serengeti, you can't get out of your vehicle unless you want to get eaten by something, because there are packs of animals everywhere. And you shine a light out the window at night and pretty much you just see eyes all around the truck. So we didn't have any cell service, there's nothing else, and the Garmin Inreach Mini was the only thing I had, and we were able to send a message to the lodge to let them know that we were broken down and needed help, and they were actually able to receive that message and sent out a ranger truck with armed rangers, and they were able to help us and pull us out of this area we were broken down in and get us back to our lodge safely. Okay, and who I think should buy what? Personally for me, I think everybody should own both of these because they're incredible devices and they both kind of cover each other where the other one has a weakness. Now, if you can only buy one because they're kind of expensive and you're a scuba diver, I would personally go with the Nautilus Marine Rescue GPS over the Garmin Inreach Mini. If you're a hiker, outdoorsman, mountaineer, traveling, even on dive trips where you want to have just on the boat, I would go with the Garmin Inreach Mini. But the reason I say this is because personally, I've found in search and rescue that a quick rescue makes all the difference in the world. Many times people don't have the right equipment to survive in the conditions that they are for very long, especially if it's cold water, if you're floating out in the ocean and a storm's coming, you might not have hours or days to survive due to exposure. And the Nautilus Lifeline, I feel, gives you the best chance of alerting ships close by you to get help as rapidly as possible. Now, people kind of have this idea in their head that when they activate an SOS or contact emergency services, that all of a sudden a Black Hawk helicopter full of Navy SEALs is going to come flying in and rescue them out of the water in 5 minutes. And that's just not the case. Even on mountain rescues we had with the Garmin Inreach Mini, it can take hours or days. Even though we get the call really quick, it can take a long time for rescue teams to either mobilize, or if it's on distance, bad weather, dangerous location, it can take a long time to get there. So if you have time to survive and you've broken your leg up on a mountain, or you're on a lifeboat or on a ship that's broken and you have the time, Garmin Inreach hands down would be best. But for divers who are in the water who need rescue now, I would go with the Nautilus Lifeline for that reason, because it has the best chance of you getting picked up quick. Sometimes you do not have the time for services to mobilize and get to you via satellite communications. So there you have it. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and check out my other travel videos from around the world where I've actually taken these devices. I hope you all have safe dives and safe trips.